The premise of this presentation today is fairly simple, and it will be this: that creating a great place to work is one of the best things you can do for your business's bottom line. You have all been to events similar to this. You've heard other speakers talk about the importance of leadership and the importance of putting people first. You've read all the great books. You've read Stephen Covey, Tom Peters, Dilbert, all of these things in an effort to learn what do we need to do with this organization from a people standpoint. And yet I have to ask you, have you ever wondered, does any of this stuff that we talk about, does it make a difference to the bottom line? 300% employee turnover in the fast food industry among the front-line counter workers. How do you manage an organization like that? I mean, figure this out. Think about it. You know, you drive up to the window number 1, and order your hamburger and fries from a person. By the time you get to window number 2, the person that you ordered your hamburger and fries from has already initiated a career change. How do you manage a workforce that moves like that?
Richard Hadden, certified speaking professional and co-author of the best-selling book, Contented Cows Give Better Milk, and the follow-up book, Contented Cows Move Faster, teaches his audiences that businesses that are a great place to work will have a more focused and fired-up workforce that will outperform their competitors 10 to 1.
I wrote a book a few years ago with my co-author Bill Catlett entitled Contented Cows Give Better Milk. Now, the book has absolutely nothing to do with cows, but everything to do with the fact that in the same way that contented cows do give better milk, satisfied employees simply give better performances. And that's really what the book is about. The book makes the business case for having a strategy of creating a truly distinctive and outstanding place for talented people to work. I think there is a social and a moral argument to be made that creating a great place to work is the right thing to do. Sure, it's the right thing to do, but it's also the profitable thing to do. And in your case, it's that thing to do which will make your government more effective and more fiscally responsible at the same time. What are some conclusions that we can draw in general about companies and organizations that treat their people well and make their people part of their strategy? In our study, the companies that we looked outgrew their competitors by a margin of 10 to 1. They out-earned them by $111 billion. They created 16 times more wealth for their investors, for their owners. They have triple the net income per employee, and that was even after all of the layoffs and all of the downsizing that was supposed to save money and reduce employment costs. The contented cows, which didn't do that, still outperformed by a margin of 3 to 1. They have 10 times the market capitalization of their competitors. Market capitalization is the value of the outstanding stock. So I think some facts, some cold hard facts about the return on investment from treating people well are that organizations that do that, I think we can conclude, grow faster. They are more productive and profitable. They have lower turnover. They generate more jobs. They create more value. My favorite, all-time, my favorite of Scott Adams' Great Lives of Management is the one that says, our employees are our most valuable asset. Will gag me with an annual report. I mean, go back and look at your annual report, look at any of your customers' annual reports, look at your competitors' annual reports, and somewhere, usually in the first 4 pages or so, will be a picture of a smiling employee or an actor portraying one with the words underneath that say, our employees are our most valuable asset. And yet, the reality is that far too many employers behave as though their people are not an asset at all, but instead their most cumbersome and burdensome liability. A little bit like the CEO of a high-tech company in this part of the world who had received tickets to hear Schubert's Unfinished Symphony. She was unable to attend, and so she gave the tickets to the company's chief financial officer. The CFO went to hear Schubert's Unfinished Symphony, came back the next day, and the CEO asked the CFO, how was the symphony? The CFO said, there will be a memo on your desk at noon.
The memo reads as follows. For a considerable period, the oboe players had nothing to do. Their numbers should be reduced and their work spread over the whole orchestra, thus avoiding peaks of inactivity. All 12 violins were playing identical notes. This seems an unnecessary duplication, and the staff in this section should be drastically cut. If a large volume of sound is required, this could be obtained through the use of an amplifier. Much effort was involved in playing the 16th notes. This seems an excessive refinement, and it is recommended that all notes should be rounded up to the nearest 8th note. If this were done, it would be possible to use paraprofessionals instead of experienced musicians. No useful purpose is served by repeating with horns the passage that has already been handled by the strings. If all such redundant passages were eliminated, the concert could be reduced from 2 hours to 20 minutes. In light of the above, one can only conclude that had Schubert taken attention to these matters, his symphony would probably have been finished by now. Well, we laugh, and yet there are companies out there that treat their employees in just that same way. Think about those new associates when they first come into your store. The most critical time is those first 60 days. Those first 60 days, you as a manager need to give a lot of attention to that new associate. Ask him or her, how are things going? What input can you give me? What feedback can you get me? What can we do more for you so that you can have a better time working here? What do you not yet know how to do? What are you having difficulty with? And you need to have an open environment so that that new associate, who is the least likely to share any concerns with you because they're new, is comfortable telling you those things. 60 days, if you can give a lot of attention, a lot of tender, loving care to that new associate in the first 60 days, your chances of retaining that associate for the next 4 years go up by more than 250%. Those first 60 days are all critical. We call it re-recruiting. I'm talking about what is the mission of your store? What is critically important in your building? I'm not talking about writing a new mission statement for the company. Your company's got a mission statement. I've seen it. It's a fine mission statement. I'm not talking about getting a new mission statement. Here's a book, however, if you do feel like you need a new mission statement. It's a real book, 301 Corporate Mission Statements from America's Top Companies. And in this book, you will find such jewels as this. Our mission is to maximize shareholder value and satisfy our customers' needs while providing our employees a rewarding and productive work environment and conducting our affairs responsibly in the community. We will accomplish this mission by creating a corporate vision of successful growth, by carefully managing our assets, and by integrating our business through effective planning and allocation of resources. Well, I am pumped. Aren't you? What does that mean, huh? What's going on with this mission statement? I talked a little bit ago about Chick-fil-A. They take a little different view on this whole thing. Now, I want you to think about the last time you were at the eye doctor for your annual eye exam, and do this with me. Which is clearer, A or B? Thank you. But it's like Charlie Parker, the jazz saxophonist, said about music. He said, if you don't live it, it won't come out of your horn. Folks, that's again where you, as the individual store managers, this is your role. What are you living? What's coming out of your horn? Well, I can tell you one way to find out, and this is another to-do, and it's a fairly simple exercise, and one that I think you'll enjoy doing. When you get back to your stores, I want you to ask 5 or 6 people this simple question. What are our top 3 business priorities? Will you do that? Will you promise me? That's an easy one. Go back to the stores, ask the question. What are our top 3 business priorities? Now, don't ask it in such a way that if you get this wrong, you're out of here. No, ask it in a genuine way. You want to know, what are your views on our top business priorities? But before you do that, you need to be clear yourself. What are our top 3 business priorities? I want you to compare their answers among themselves, because if you ask 6 people for 3 priorities and you get 18 priorities, we have a problem.
The media has picked up the contented cow concept and published dozens of articles written by Richard Hadden and his business partner and co-author Bill Catlett.
You don't need any more budget to be a great leader. You certainly don't need anyone's permission to be a great leader. And you don't need any more time to be a great leader.